now. I'll just go off now. That's a natural thing. That's like, get on out of there now. Hello, my friends. Celebrating 10 years, guys. 10 years of making contacts, building community, and propagating ham radio. This is 100 watts in a wire. It's Christian K0STH. Hello, everyone. Steve's here at W7 UDI and Scotty KC3 BXN. My brothers, we are Daryl, and my other brother Daryl.
And Daryl.
Daryl. Pretty much. How's everything going? Thank you all for stopping by. We try to chop it up, as they say, where I play basketball a couple times a week. You know, I got to work on my game. They say we like to chop it up. That's what the young people say. That's when we talk to each other. We chop it up. So use that if it helps you. Our demographic is men. What is it? 74. This is who listens to 74 and a half. And we have a lady. There is a lady who listens. So anyway, it's so great to see you. I have a fan on because in Florida, it's the same day, every day, all the days, except hurricane season, then it's really, like that. And it's been hot down here probably for about 3 weeks, and I'm just going to move the air around if it's okay. Steve, let's start with you first. What's going on? I mean, we can probably pick up from the last time we really... Nah, that's too many days. All right. The producers say no, don't do that. What is going on with you? You look great. You've got your spring attire. How you doing? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good, and it's hot here too. We're 90 degrees right now, so it's warm here in the Pacific Northwest, and been a little busy with the fire district, so it's been just normal stuff.
All right, normal stuff is good. Scotty, what's going on with you, man?
No 90 degrees. It's 69 and raining here in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, doing all right.
Love that.
Man.
Yeah, a little soggy, but we need the rain. We're still in a drought scenario. So it's all good.
So there's so much going on. I need to bring our friend in to talk to us, Paul Braun. He's like he's the second person you'd want to call from Amateur Radio Newsline, maybe. Karen Eve Murray was busy tonight, so we get this one. Oh, but Paul Braun is so good in the number 2 hole. I got to get him up here because I'm just being so silly. Paul is a
number 2 hole.
Friend. How do I? I'm going to work on getting him. Oh, so Steve, just go ahead. Just give him the right out of the box points. Oh my goodness, thank you for that. Yeah, someone off in the ether is like, yeah, so good one. Let's go back. I need to pull. Go ahead, somebody take it or pick it up. We're all induced by something tonight. I don't know what it is. I'm going to call it timeout here. Christian calls a timeout on the field. There seems to be a slight buzz in the room. Can you tell? Can you tell? Look around. Look for things on the tabletops. What are these fellas doing back here? I don't know. Well, I got Paul. He's absolutely stuck in the green room.
In the number 2 hole.
I should have expected that. Oh, I didn't see that coming. Not from him, but from you.
Yes, from these knuckleheads here.
So look, what we're trying to do, apart from try to figure out how to get Paul W9GCO into the show at some point this evening, is if you're just rejoining, just finding us, welcome. Everybody's welcome. We got a pretty interesting sense of humor, especially when the boys get around. This is our 10th year, guys, which is kind of ridiculous. On the 22nd of this month, maybe we should do something. I don't know what.
No.
I don't know what, but maybe we can get on the air and do something together to kind of commemorate. 10 years just sneaks up just like that.
Jesus, it seems like yesterday we started.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but there's so many crazy stories that I want to for us to get to. First, I would love to hear about as I work to get. What do you guys think of this visual? Every Sunday, 7 o'clock, we get together and we try to chop it up, as they say, or I might have said earlier. But stop me. Do you like this one or like this one? So, Hey, look, I just pulled him up here.
Paul there. It is.
I just got a
There,
Paul.
Paul better.
Well,
There he is.
look at this. But Paul's not listening. He's reading. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. We got him up. I wonder if I could pull him up here. What? Just stay there. Stay right there. Don't worry. Now, if you're watching this sidecar, tell them what they're watching at home. That's oh, there he is. Let's see. I think we got it.
Paul.
We got it.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Woo!
There he is. Paul, let's hear it. Can we hear you?
No, maybe.
I can
don't
hear
know.
you. You sound great.
All right, good.
You sound great. Thank you for
Melodious
coming
tones
on.
of Paul.
Yeah, Paul, you were the second option. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
we love
totally
you,
get
though.
that.
We love you. No, you're the first person I called.
I would be my second option as well. So
I am totally. We have this playful thing, and it's been a while, so we haven't had a tickle fight in a while. But yeah, a couple days ago, I was like, I really don't know what's going on. Like my hands from my elbow right now in amateur radio. I'm like, I feel like I've just been born again. I'm like, gotta reach out to Paul with the concept of trying to like put in a handful to me what some of the major stories are, and then we can all chop it up. I think this episode should be called "Chop It Up."
chop
But
it
it-
up.
Chopping it up.
It may already be too
Chop
late.
it up.
That slang may be done. Anyway, if you have a question, put a Q in front of it, and Scotty keeps an eye on these things, and we will pull it, and we'll try to do the best we can. Go ahead, Steve. I made a pull it joke. Nothing?
we'll leave that
Come
one
on,
alone.
man. You promised me. You promised
point are we-
everyone you could get.
At what point are we calling the HR lady? Because I think we've gone past that threshold.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
yeah.
been fired.
Yeah.
Oh, she's been fired?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was
Yeah,
a
we got rid of
there
HR. We don't need HR.
was a loophole. Turns out Steve is now head of HR, so look out.
Oh dear.
Yeah, we're screwed down.
Well, I feel very comfortable and confident in his abilities to serve in this role
Oh,
as
you're
HR
so screwed.
representative. I don't know. What are they going to do? Pull us off the air? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah.
Pull us off the
Exactly.
air for 5 points. There's innuendo at that point. Paul, you really I did this in short order, and I appreciate you working your schedule and trying to rush to get home. But Paul is the voice. I don't know if I call you the voice of Amateur Radio Newsline, and so you
One
don't
of
have to
them.
worry. You stay. I know you're the voice.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where we are. I mean, I'll just make it a quote, and you don't have to agree with me. Steve, is he the guy or what? Right? There's so many great
He's the guy.
voices.
He's the guy. He's my guy.
He's the one. I won't listen to
Paul's
others.
my guy.
I'm like, that's not Paul. Turn it right
Yeah,
off.
just because Don thinks he's the voice of AR Newsline, it's like no. It's
I do love Don. I do love Don. But then those two have an interesting relationship too. We can unpack that as.
And I pay him every month, a finder's fee for bringing me in. So he gets a percentage of my salary, and he's worth every
Nice.
penny of that.
That seems
exactly
That seems like a good deal.
10% of zero.
It's not the numbers, it's the gesture that matters. That's what I always say from HQ of 100 watts in a wire, where we're all volunteer, right? Oh, well, anyway, the assignment was to kind of put together the top stories so far of 2025, and from your perch, what do you feel they are?
Well, the squirrel and I worked on these, and one of the first ones is early May. We had, and this is still going on, we had a major solar storm, which, basically shut the bands down, and it hasn't gotten a lot better, and that's still going. I mean, that's almost as bad as that storm we had in May of last year, which brought aurora down. I mean, like, I live on the southern tip of Lake Michigan. We had aurora down here, and some people even like as far south as Missouri were seeing the northern lights. So that sort of
See,
stuff,
Maryland.
yeah, that sort of stuff isn't friendly for our hobby. I mean, I've got a lot of people I know, when you turn on the radio, it's like, did somebody cut my coax? And tried a couple of POTA activations, and it's challenging enough when, you're out there and there are signals, but when you get out there and you call for like 45 minutes, and if you're lucky, you got 2 contacts back. It's just, this has been a rough summer so far for RF. And based on what Dr. T is saying, it doesn't sound like it's going to get a whole lot better anytime soon. I'm blaming her for this. I'm blaming Tamitha. But she said she talked to the sun, and the sun ain't having none of it. So we're kind of stuck.
Steve, W7UDI, what do you think?
Yeah, it's been awful. It's I've been getting on the bands, and basically the only people that I've been hearing are the normal guys that I know that run power. And there has been a few days where there was a little bit of hope, and it kind of came down to a pretty decent day, but then that was short-lived. That only like one day, and then it was back to the doldrums, and it was like, okay. At one point, I was like, did my cable get disconnected? And I mean, it was awful. And then I looked at the space weather and I saw a K index of 8, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're done. Put a fork in it. Went into the house, told the wife we're going to have Aurora tonight. So and then typical Northwest weather. Here comes the clouds, and couldn't see the Aurora.
Scotty, you've got an interesting setup. Oh, sorry, Paul. Just a second. Scotty, with your setup, how are the bands sounding to you? And maybe you can describe what your setup is currently.
With my compromised setup, it's a KP9 every day of the week. Yeah, I have a weird multi-band ham stick thing, and it doesn't do well on a good day. So with the bands the way they've been, it's been no dice, no go for anything HF for me.
All right, letter to Sun.
I've totally gotten hooked on POTA the last couple of years, and I just got done redesigning the Go boxes to be even better for the situation and easier to set up, and I'm all ready to go. And so far, it's like, don't even bother. I mean, we tried doing I was hanging out with the Ham Radio Workbench crew at Xenia, and we tried doing one POTA activation on Saturday night, I think, and it was we called and we got like 2 contacts, and we had to do some RF shenanigans to actually get enough contacts so that we get credit for it.
Where'd you guys set up at?
It was at Carillon Park.
Oh, okay.
Down along, and there was just like noise and nothing. So Vince put up a video. We did dummy load to dummy load. It's watch it. It's all legit. It's RF to RF.
Yeah, no, it's RF
to park.
Yeah.
But it's one group of guys on a KX2 into a dummy load, and then me and Jack with the 857 dialed back, and we managed to get enough contacts to get. It was funny because it's kind of like it felt like a group of drug addicts all trying watching the 2 guys that are trying to score. And the other guys all know what it's about, and they're like, "Oh man, let's figure out some way to help them because we know what it's like." And
15 years. All right, cool.
We want to share the high.
And we managed to get it. Now the next day, after everything was over, Monday we stayed over. So Monday we went out to another park. I don't remember the number, but for whatever reason, 40 was open that day. And we managed to actually work quite a bit. It was nice.
40 was open.
Yeah, so that was nice. But I mean, the rest of the time, and the last couple of times I've tried something, because later on I'll talk about a fairly famous ham who passed away. So my friend Jack and I went to his memorial, and on the way back, there's this park out by us that the Santa Fe Railroad had donated some prairie land to become a prairie preserve. and the people that run it are ham friendly. They have
Nice.
flagpoles and stuff up with pulleys in the trees and things that are spaced out for putting up dipoles, and they want you to come play POTA there. And I'm telling him, this is a great place. You've never been there. We're going to stop. So he stopped. 45
Nice.
minutes of calling. We got 2 contacts that we really had to work at to pull out. And then all of a sudden, I got a really loud signal on 40. I'm like, awesome. And we called them, and they gave us their park number. They're in the same park at the front entrance. So we made the contact. We got together and commiserated about the fact that we've just, this is a waste. We've blown this activation. It's not going to happen because there is nobody on any bands.
Yeah. So next year, when you go back to Hamvention, bring light bulbs and use that as the dummy load. You get a little bit more. You might get a
little bit more RF. Yeah.
A little bit more RF, and then you can, see your work, see you talk.
Exactly. Yep.
Story number 2, sir. What comes in right around
Story
number
number 2 is there's a Mount Athos is fairly well known as a rare site, and we had that one ham.
Oh shoot, what's his name?
Right now, I cannot remember his name. Who was one of the monks there?
Oh, the one that passed away, or is he currently alive? Yeah.
Yeah, that passed away. And there was a group that had permission to do an expedition. Now, Mount Athos is like a holy community. There's 20 monasteries there and about 2,000 monks that live there. So they're very protective of this place. And the group that got permission to do the activation said that they had gotten the permission and the paperwork, but when they got there to activate, suddenly they were told that no, you don't have permission, and it was on and back and forth because a lot of people had planned to work them, and
same with me.
So there was press releases going back and forth, and it was confusing.
Yeah, and then there was there was a lot of bad blood that was being spewed out there.
What?
And it was they had permission, but then I guess the head monk said no, there's no way. And I think the Greece police were involved in it, and it got kind of ugly. And everybody involved was saying, we've got the paperwork. Monk Apollo is the one who passed away. Yeah. So, and everybody was saying, we've got the permits. You said we could do this. And then, it ever since Monk Apollo passed away, I think just his eminence just said he's not into the radio and doesn't want it, and it just turned into it. And then it became an issue with the people that, while they worked for 2 or 3 days, it was a couple of days, and they made quite a few contacts, and then was it going to be discredited from the DXCC? It just turned into a. And
ultimately, the league did say that if you work them during that period, it's going to count.
Right.
So if you did manage to get them, and then it does count towards DXCC. So that ended up good. But you're right. That was kind of ugly. So hopefully next time they try that, things really get sorted out, because they're saying our activation there doesn't affect or touch any of the monastic life. So we're not interfering with the monks. We're just here to do our little thing on this island. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's a touchy one.
Yep.
Speaking of touchy, girl, I just had to call to let you know when you're looking for that power solution. I know you call for the Sea Child, but look, call Bioeno Power, offering the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit bioenopower.com. That's BIOENNO Power. Girl.com. No, BIOENNO Power. Outlook.com.
Yeah.
Not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to see
Yeah, I
them
know what
there
you
in
mean.
Dayton. Yeah,
I
they
did.
They had a pretty good display there in Dayton.
I bought. So I've got. I use the product. I've got 2 of the 12 amp hour batteries in my main battery box for POTA, and when I was there, I got convinced to buy a smaller, like 4.5 amp, whatever, that would fit inside my one Go box with my G90, so I could switch between internal or external power if I want. I love those batteries. They're good stuff.
Survey
I was
says
looking at their 30 or 40 amp hour ones to throw on my four-wheeler. So when I got the sprayer mounted on the back of it and I'm spraying the field, it just a lightweight battery that I just have on the four-wheeler. It's
I got a
looks like
15 amp hour one in a little Plano ammo case that with a little power pole connector I put on the end. So
Yeah. Mine's in the Harbor Freight ammo box. Harbor Freight is your friend.
Right
So
on.
what I was really impressed with them is all the different configurations and packaging, which is it'll meet your needs. It's whatever package you got to put your battery in or your junk. The Bioeno will fit the needs.
You hear that?
And
Kevin?
I gotta say that my first one I got because they advertised on here, and I kept hearing about it, and so that was what got me to go out and buy the first 12. And then we had a member of our club passed away who also had a 12, so I picked that up from his estate. So but if they're wondering, does listening, I got my batteries because I heard it here. So
Thank you, Paul.
you're welcome.
Kevin's a really nice guy, and we've been rolling with them, and they've been rolling with us for a long time. Through all of it. Not the very, very beginning, but as soon as we found out, it's been going for a long time. I think they even have, I have a little 6 back here as like a backup power for it's one of my meters, and when I plug it into a power, like a wall wart, it gives me like this, some gremlin gets in there, so I go pure power right to it. It's my SWR, my LP100A. When I plug that bad boy in with power, though, it wants to feed something in my signal, and I'm like, I don't like it. So I go direct with the Bioeno. Bada boom. There you go. Thank you, fellas, for helping me with that. So we're talking a little bit about some of the top stories so far of 2025, catching me up. Ben wants to know, he does have a larger question, but it looks like, do we endorse the gummies? The answer is yes.
Gummies all
I
the
don't
way.
know. Right? Everybody loves that.
Yeah,
You can't
stuff
think
like
of
that.
100 watts in a wire and not think of Bioeno
Just
Power
gummies.
and a bag of
And
gummies.
gummies.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
goes
even
without
Pastor Joe says this. Ask Pastor Joe. Come on. A show so bad we got to have our own pastor on board.
We need all the help we can get.
That's what they say. Anyway, so we, I feel like I need to catch up. Paul Braun is here from Amateur Radio Newsline. He's given us what he feels so far are the top stories, along with Miss Karen Eve Murray, still editor-in-chief, I imagine.
Yes, indeed. Chief cat wrangler.
Chief Squirrel.
That's right.
Chief
Keeps-
squirrel.
Squirrel.
Runs a tight ship over there. You guys need it. Go back in
Yes,
there.
we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
What did you guys come up with next?
For number 3, it was, and it's still up in the air. So there was news earlier this year that the Voice of America and Radio Free Europe and other sources like that had been targeted by the new administration that's being shut down. And that was we're talking Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, Radio Marti. Now, in the meantime, the courts have temporarily halted this, but it looked like, the VOA has been around since World War II, and while they necessarily RF broadcast, the streamings it's still a very valuable thing just for dissemination of news and cultural things and stuff like that. There was a quick bit of worry at when that came out that the VOA Museum in Bethany, in Westchester, Ohio, was going to get shut down because, and they were quick to put out a press release that they are a totally independent nonprofit organization. They are no longer actually affiliated with the VOA, so they were okay, which is good because that's a fantastic. If you go to Xenia, make yourself available one evening. It's like a 45-minute drive from Xenia, but it's totally worth it. It's a history because the way it worked in the war was the studios were in Washington, but they did not want the transmitters within range of the coast of either, ship-launched missile or aircraft attack. So the transmitters were located just outside of Cincinnati in Westchester, Ohio, or Bethany, Ohio, actually is where it is. And it was 250,000 watts worth of now that's just power coming out of the transmitter. With the antenna arrays, they were all steerable arrays. They could switch and do phasing to where they wanted to target the signal in Europe or wherever. I think it was like 4 megawatts ERP.
Nice.
So it's spectacular. Plus, there's a collection. This is for you, Christian. R.L. Drake gave them. They have the Drake collection. They have one of every Drake radio ever made on display.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's a really cool place. Plus, they have a station, a ham station there. And I've worked it a few times. If you just bring your license, you can get on the air and work WC8 VOA. So, but look, for right now, it looks like the VOA, at least for now, is safe. And we'll see.
You're listening to Paul, WD9 GCO from Amateur Radio Newsline. We're talking about some of the top stories so far in 2025. How many did you have, Paul? Because we've got a couple questions we're going to get to, and I can mix them in and out. But how many are you looking at?
I've got 10 altogether. So
Jeez
that
Louise.
That was 3. So I'll cut and if
No, we're fine.
I just have enough in case.
No,
you
good.
asked for like 25.
Did I?
You
I'm
did.
very demanding.
So, yeah, I realized that was never going to work. So
we're relying on you, Paul, to carry the show tonight. If you haven't noticed.
Thanks.
You are the. Can't say it enough.
We're just gonna bake over here.
There was a question. A couple questions. Let's see. My West Mountain Radio rig runner. I want to help the people that are hanging out with us now on Sunday. I want to get to your question. That way you can maybe start working on that. We'll get back to the stories in just a second. And please comment on those. And if you have questions about anything, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. And we will pull it. Good job. My West Mountain Radio rig runner, thank you for all those complicated words in a row, has stopped charging my 100 amp hour Power Queen battery when the power supply is turned on. Any suggestions? That's from Ben, KX4TQ. We'll go with...
man, you're pretty hard on your Queen battery there, buddy. You're trying to use it at the still or something? Holy smokes. So stop charging.
Try charging it. Disconnect from the rig runner and just try charging it
I'm wondering if it's in the
directly
rig
first.
runner. Yeah.
It's entirely possible the BMS in the battery has got issues.
Is gone, yeah.
Yeah.
So, divide and conquer there, Ben. So, yeah, get rid of the rig runner and then just try to charge it on its own with... did that battery come with its own charger? And then try that and go from there.
Right on. And Sheena is here. She is the 0.001% that actually listen and have joined our community so far. It was really, really weird up until she came. So
Good question.
Now it's only partially weird.
It's just totally, so partially. What's going on with MFJ? Who wants to go? Steve, what do you know?
What I know is that Martin doesn't want to break up the company. It's to be sold, you take it all, lock, stock, and barrel. And from what I understand, there's been interest in bits and pieces of the company, and Martin is not interested in breaking up the company, which I respect his wishes and stuff, but it's just unfortunate because I know one outfit wanted to get the high gain line of antennas, and probably the Cushcraft too, basically the antenna line, and roll it into their operation. But it's just kind of where it's been for the last number of months. It's just kind of languishing for the time being. So
he wants to sell this completely. That way he doesn't have to try to sell 12 businesses. He can just sell one business, you get all that, and I don't have to try. Right. And he's in his 80s. Right, Paul, what do you know? And tell us the truth.
Yeah, that's
all of it, please.
Well, I know as much as Steve does there, but I totally get it gets messy and it drags on if he's trying to sell off chunks. I mean, just one big thing. I'm retired and washing my hands. Take it. But split up the antenna business, the linear business, all the different things that he's acquired over the years. Trying to split those back out is just.
He doesn't want to split it. He wants to sell it all. He wants to sell it all.
And I totally understand.
One nut.
Yep. I understand that, but the offer so far coming in is.
I want this. I want that. Yeah.
And
no, I totally get that.
So.
And I hope.
Don't know where we'll end up.
I hope somebody does, because I mean, there's a lot of jokes about it, but honestly, MFJ serves a purpose and serves a market. I mean, there is a niche market. I mean, it's not a niche. There is a serious market in ham radio for a lot of the products at the price range that he was selling them at.
Absolutely.
I mean, it would be nice to just be able to get everything from the big guys, but if you can't afford to spend $500 on an SWR meter, and the one that MFJ sells may not be as accurate, but it does the job for $75, then you can have one versus not having one at all. So I've always felt that MFJ served a definite market, especially on the entry level, where you're not scaring people away saying, well, you're going to need a tuner. This one's $4,000.
I'm going to yield my time to my brother, W7UDI. Steve, talk about MFJ and the importance and what it means to new hams, like the folks we've been trying to help for 10 years.
Oh, just like Paul brought it up, it's a inexpensive way to get into the hobby with accessories, whether it's an SWR meter, whether it's switches, a lot of ancillary devices that we use in our hobby here. MFJ fills that void. Others do fill it, but you're paying 2 to 3 times more just because you're going to have that brand name. And but if you really look at it, you look at it as the hobby as a whole, there's pretty much an MFJ piece of equipment in everybody's shack, whether you like it or not. I mean, it's I would say more than 98% of us in the hobby here have one piece of MFJ equipment in our shack. It's just, that's the way it is. And
I have several.
Yeah,
I love their tuners. Like I've got no, not tuners. They're their tuner, the old school tuner, I actually do like, and then the antenna analyzer from them. I've got 2 different varieties of MFJ antenna analyzers.
My FT857 Go box has the MFJ auto tuner that's designed for that Yaesu, and I use that all the time.
Scott.
I was just looking at while you guys were talking, I was just looking at my stuff here, and my main tuner is an MFJ 949 I got a MFJ speech intelligence enhancer little thing that I run my FT101 old Yaesu through, so I have a little bit of tone control on the receive audio. I have a MFJ 12 volt power strip back there, along with the little ham radio workbench one that I made. I got an MFJ power supply, one of two. My POTA rig is my very first MFJ mobile tuner. I got a 300 watt dry dummy load MFJ that's also in the portable rig. So yeah, tons of it.
My thought was, I was hoping that like a company like LDG, it all depends on where the leadership of LDG is now, what they want to do with the rest of their thing. You know, what do they want to do with ham radio? But I was thinking it'd be a great idea. But then again, I don't know the numbers, what you're inheriting, what kind of deals, back orders, and all those sort of situations. It'd be great to know if anybody's out there that would hear this, that, you know, has studied what's going on at MFJ specifically with regards to the details of the sale. I'd love to hear that a little closer. But they're in everybody's shack, all-purpose, inexpensive, and some of those products in the line are damn good. That's all I'm going to say. It sounds like
a lot of useful utility products, just for just a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
MFJ 20-meter ham stick dipole that I use for POTA from time to time. So
there you go. I've got a few of those too. I forgot about those. Yeah, got quite a few MFJ ham sticks actually.
All right, I'm not going to do that to Paul. I was going to really tease, but that might embarrass him. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Oh, what?
What? What?
No, I shouldn't do it. Okay, I'm going to do it.
So James has Ameritron is much different than Cushcraft, but one's an amplifier, the other one's an antenna. But the thing is, a lot of these companies or brands we would have lost if Martin didn't pick them up. So that's where we're at now.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, for all you've done for amateur radio operators.
James said it'd be cool if HRO picked up MFJ. I agree. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, Sheena, thank you for that.
Throwing that out there.
K0LTL, the 0.001% of us. Paul, what else do you have on your list of top stories so far for 2025?
So we had two astronauts up on the ISS who were, one of them is a ham, KD5 PLB, and they were kind of stranded up there for a while when the Starliner malfunctioned. So SpaceX in March got a Dragon up there, and picked up Nick, KG5 TMV, and a cosmonaut, and brought them home. So far, amateur radio on the ISS is still going. Unfortunately, we now have a timetable until the ISS is deorbited. So it's still on my list. I'm still trying. And if you have a radio that can do APRS, it doesn't matter. As long as if they have the digipeater on, if you can ping it with APRS and get the confirmation back, that counts, and you can get the card. I need that. So that's one of my projects.
Steve, do it.
Yeah, I've heard him on the air a couple times, but I've never made any contacts with him.
I was fortunate to make contact. I had to get up to pee one morning at like 4:35 a.m. I run
truth.
Yeah, several
truth
times.
Bell right there. It's truth bell.
But I have on my little Mac Mini here. I got what's it called? Mac Doppler running, and sometimes I'll just leave it up. And the ISS I had one of my alerts, and I got up, walked past Jack, headed to the bathroom, and Cat's following me, and I heard a little alert about this. I was like, okay, cool, ISS is coming around. Maybe I'll make contact with somebody in New York. Usually I just do a repeater as to somebody that's a few states away. So I just I just threw out my call, and I get the call back up, and yeah, it was I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
I never understood the programming of the HT and the second Like I need a whole lesson. That's like a whole thing for me. I got to learn how to work the satellites. How does that all work? Moon bounce. The first time somebody was like, "Have you ever heard of the moon bounce?" I'm like, "No. What? How does that all work?" So many things. Cool. What else you got? Oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
Hold on now. I gotta.
Let's go. What's that?
Fellas like this don't come cheap. So we had to reach out and get a quick sponsor for Paul Braun's appearance on 100 Watts in a Wire. So I'm, I gotta say, your appearance today is brought to you by Xenia Hose, XeniaHose.com. That's XeniaHose.com. Thank you for providing
In Ohio.
hotel and ground transportation. They are in Ohio exclusively. Ask for a Wildcat.
Wildcat.
All right, Paul, what's your next story there? You gotta-
Hey, you ain't right.
That's true. That's true. That is true. But according to Wildcat,
Yeah.
Scotty
All right.
ain't right either.
All right. Well, this next one is actually recent. Speaking of vendors and suppliers that are no longer going to be around, Stepper announced that they are
in my
getting out
backyard.
of that are get okay. Now, it is pronounced Stepper, right?
Stepper.
Because I've also heard people insist, no, it's Step-IR, and I think, no, I'm pretty sure it's Stepper.
They refer to as a stepper.
Then we're going with that. They are getting, as of August 31st, they're getting out of the ham radio business. They're going to focus on their commercial and military antennas. They will still supply tech support, and I believe they're going to supply repair parts as long as they still have inventory. So at some point when they run out, then you're on your own. So
And they're gonna
they are
supply. They're gonna do the warranty.
they'll do warranty.
Customers.
They'll do warranty. Yep, and tech support. But after so they're after August 31st, they're out of the ham radio business. So I was curious because they weren't at Xenia, and I was wondering because they always have a booth there, and they weren't, and so this explains why they're getting out of the ham radio business. Now, Steppers, if you're not that familiar with it, it's an interesting design. It's a mechanically tunable antenna. So like the beam, the elements are fiberglass tubes, and inside those tubes are copper strips that are on a roll, like a fishing roll. And there's a servo motor that controls, it pushes the copper tape in and out of the tube for different lengths depending on the frequency you're on. So if you have an automatic controller tied to your radio, when you change frequencies, it retunes your antenna on the fly. And I think on some of them, like
Sorry.
2-element, you can like instantly reverse direction by
And
I think
on
like
the
on
3-element you can do
a
it too.
3-element one, yeah, because you can take
cool.
the front and back elements and instantly change them from reflector to director. And so you can, if you just want to do a quick 180 flip of direction, you can do that. So I mean, it's pretty cool. They're not inexpensive, is the thing, because the DB42, their top end Yagi, is $13,000.
Damn.
But even their vertical is, I mean, it's really cool tech, but it's also expensive. But yeah, no, they're getting out of the ham radio business. So
Do you guys think DX Engineering might pick that up?
No, because they probably won't want to give up the IP. And
right, they're still making
because they're
antennas,
still
just not. Yeah,
yeah, they're
What's-
they're that business is going to the commercial side, so it's the same antenna. It's just in the commercial world, it's going to be heavier duty, and then
Yeah.
the price is going to follow. But so I don't see them giving up the intellectual property to
right, because there's patents
sell it
involved
off.
that still apply to the other stuff. So
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Thank you. What else you got? What else you got there? And that's a big one. That's a little surprising.
Okay, so let's talk about somebody who we recently lost and has been a friend of this show as well. Christian, you knew him. Hap Holly passed away. Hap, for years, produced the Rain Report, which is basically it was documenting news and all sorts of things, because Hap was blind, and I've always been amazed that, because knowing what's involved in doing audio editing and stuff, when you can see the screen and see the waveforms, Hap did it all just by using his ears and a screen reader and the accessibility stuff on the computer. And it was amazing. He was a really great guy. I mean, he'd been around forever. My friend Jack in 9ITB and I went to because he lived in the Chicago area. I live near Chicago. And his memorial was last month, I think, or a month or so ago. And we went to his memorial. And it was a very interesting guy. In addition to all of the ham radio stuff, he was a musician. A very, very good musician. And he had a whole lot of friends. It was weird. At the memorial, it's like half of the friends knew him from his non-ham life, and the other half knew him from, the ham radio stuff. And everybody loved him. They had nothing bad to say about Hap. I mean, I sat down with him a few times for Newsline. I interviewed him a couple times. He'd been a member of our crew forever because he knew Bill Pasternak going back to the beginning of Newsline. And Hap was always a supporter. And we sat down a couple times at Xenia when he had the booth still out there. And we just sat and talked. He interviewed me once when I first came on, but then we just sat around and talked. And Christian, you knew Hap too, right?
I did. I knew him through the digital realm. I had never been in person with him, but I interviewed him one night. And we did basically an oral history, and I sat down. There was a time where we were doing like an interview type of show. We would do our show, and then we'd do another show or whatever. And he hung out with me, and I have that interview, not a shameless plug, but I think it's worth watching because it was more of an oral history between two guys. The setup was really, I think I even brought Scotty in to make sure we were all connected. I can't remember, but there took some doing logistically to set this up. And in the beginning, he was a little prickly in the beginning. He hadn't really done a lot of interviews, and he told me I haven't done an interview in like 30 some years or whatever. It's in the video, and he really, we just go through his story, the Pasternak, all the interesting things, but really how he did it. And I remember asking him how he wanted to be remembered. And he broke down thinking, like he was in between not knowing if he should continue to try and produce this thing. I think he struggled with letting it go or putting it down or what, but we really got to that level in conversation. And I'll try to post this on our Discord or our Facebook group, a link to that, because he was a little rough. Maybe it was Steve that was helping me set up, and that's probably why you heard a lot of that. Like he wasn't I think he was testing me a little bit. He was kind of testing the waters, and we really didn't know each other, but so he threw some punches. Actually, it was just like barbs. Like, okay, now looky here, but I think we ended up getting to talking, and I think if you have this impression, back it up. I know I'm just grabbing from this. It almost seemed like he was testing. Did you do your homework? I'm going to talk to you. Did you prepare for this? And I had a sense that, this is, and we've always been sensitive to people dipping out or taking time for the kids and family and all the things and breaks and whatever. But I had this sense that he wanted to make sure that I had done my research, that I was going to be talking to him in a way that, does that make sense? I think you guys
it does.
get what
It totally makes sense. And
that it wasn't just some sort of grab, like, oh, Hap Holly is something in the ham radio where I got to talk to him. We went down, and I think eventually, as we got that interview to it where we were going to do it, we had built that thing. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, and he was very serious about what he did. But, he was, and I think it was just a matter of, getting to know him. Because everybody there was talking about his legendary sense of humor, which I didn't get to experience as much because I only interacted with him a little bit here and there for the Newsline stuff. And everything that I heard at that memorial made me think, I wish because he occasionally would check in when conditions were right on our repeater here on Thursday nights after we run Newsline. I just have an open check-in net. And Hap would occasionally check in because our repeater system has a site that's close to Chicago that Hap could hit. So every once in a while, I'd hear Hap come in. I'm like, hey, I know you. Hi, Hap. And it makes me kind of wish that he was physically closer, because it sounds like hanging out with him and the other guys was quite a party. So it's really going to miss Hap. He provided a great service, and he was an inspiration. There were a number of people at the memorial that were also blind. So it's like from that part of his world, support and working with the blind and all that. So he had people there who knew him from that work as well. So seeing all these different facets of a guy that I really only knew from the Rain Report and from Newsline some, it was an interesting look into a life. So
yeah, I enjoyed his company. He was really forthcoming. He was a straight shooter. He was given, and I think and I appreciate this opportunity to kind of pause and talk about Hap, because I hadn't done any shows around his passing. Just thinking about hearing him, I heard him, like, I feel recently, and it's like, that's Hap. That's Hap. Like, Hap sounds great. I think the Handy Hams also was another, it softened him a little bit to kind of doing these interviews, because he hadn't really spoken to anyone. And he told me he wanted to do, he really appreciated Bill and their relationship. But it seemed like they hit a time, and I know you're taking care of the history of Amateur Radio Newsline, so please. But it seemed like, I remember Hap saying he wanted to expand stories. Like, he didn't like the 2-minute, the 1.5 minute story, and it wasn't an indictment on the product, meeting Amateur Radio Newsline. It's just that he wanted to open things up. Does that sound right, Paul, or close?
It does sound right, and it's an argument that we have amongst ourselves too. The fine line between making, because in today's world, people are getting ever more trained to like the TikTok sort of mentality, where they have like a 90-second attention span, and if you do anything longer than that, they're gone. So, because some of us like to do slightly longer stories, when I would do things, I usually try to call somebody on the phone and do an interview, so I have actuality audio to go with. But when you're cut down to the limited, essentially like highlight story frame, that doesn't leave a lot of time for their audio. So, it's a discussion we have all the time. So I totally understand what he's saying, and I understand why. And I can see that argument going back and forth. So no, I heard him say that in something else. And maybe it was in your interview with him, I heard him say that as well. So no, I totally understand what he says and where he was coming from on that.
This is going to sound, I'm spacing on the Ham's name and call sign right now, but he also had like a real radio station, and he's a ham, and he did an interview type of show. And I'm thinking of his name. I can't remember his name right now.
Randall? Or
That's it. Who's
Ted
that?
Randall?
Randall.
Ted Randall. Is
Ted Randall?
Is he still with us? Is Ted still around?
That was going to be my next story.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Then let me... Maybe I better yield my time again.
Well,
but,
no, that's okay. Just so you know, Ted Randall.
Oh, damn, hold on, Paul. I'm sorry. Let me just get it.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. Ted Randall interviewed Pasternak, and it's a fascinating interview. Check that out. Bill Pasternak and Ted Randall, somewhere in his archive, is a really great interview. And everybody should see that or hear that or anything with Hap, because he was a fascinating guy. And then, oh, please, Paul, I got a feeling I'm going to get bad news here. Go on.
Yeah, no, Ted passed away in the end of May, I think, like around the 20th or something, somewhere in there. Yeah, he... let's see, so he ran the QSO radio show.
That's it.
For years. May 11th is when he passed. And he always had the booth in the remote station at Hamvention, and he broadcast from there for a long time. He ran a shortwave station and broadcast on that, and then he got out of that in recent years. He had a lot of health problems, but no, Ted was another one who, in his radio programs, weren't necessarily all ham related. So no, we lost him too. He had been kind of associated with Newsline. We ran for a long time on his one shortwave station. So
yeah, he ran us as well. He was an interesting guy. My exchanges with him were always kind of interesting and different, a whole completely different take on a lot of different things. But he gave us a shot to kind of go out on his big stick, if you will, in the broadcast station. And that is crazy expensive. I think you can buy a small radio station now for a reasonable amount of money, but the maintenance on the tower, I'd have to have Steve involved, and the transmitter itself is so expensive that it's cost prohibitive. But he was doing it. I think he was trying to get sponsorship from people like us who were, on his, radio thing. And I remember telling him, like, we got no money, but I can, if you want it, because it's content gobble in a lot of ways on that stick. But Steve, what's going on with you, man? What are you thinking?
I'm just going back, reliving the Hap interview, and it was, Hap was a little apprehensive at first. He goes like, "Why are you interested in me?" It was, "Why me?" And then it just, once the interview went a little farther down, then he started to let his guard down, and I think the question that took him over in my opinion, took him over the edge was, what are we going to do with your work? What do you want of your work? It's something that he never really thought of, and it took him back. And if I recall right, Kristen, I think the family reached out to you and told you how he was so humbled over the interview that someone gave, 2 bits about him, because he's the OG. I remember in the early 2000s and mid 2000s being at Hamvention and watching Hap in the ballerina room or hall.
Hey, now.
Watching him do his work, and here's this blind gentleman, and he's just mixing and doing a show, and I just stood there in amazement.
Absolutely. I mean, knowing what we know about what we do, being able to see it, what he did without being able to see it, it's just like, he's not letting any of that slow him down.
Whenever you hear this or play this back, go check out the rain report. I don't know. We probably need to actually listen back to this interview and see what he was thinking, at least at that moment. But I wonder if his website's still up or if anybody still is going to maintain his stuff. But he's got a whole archive of stuff that's you need to go see it as maybe a gateway into amateur radio. If we can do anything, is point you in the right direction and listen to some of this historical content. It's still out there. I don't know if somebody can do a quick search and see if the rain report's still up there.
No, the rain report website's down, so I don't know if his wife is going to work with anybody to see about. They might be, some of them might be up on the Internet Archive, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But the rain report website is gone, so I don't know what's going to happen to all. It would be good for at least at the Internet Archive or somebody to host, because there's a wealth of information there.
I agree. I hope somebody will reach out and check on that. That would be good. All right, we've come to the top of the hour now. How are you doing on time, Paul? I think the fellas are probably okay with a little bit of a longer hangout. I think we're looking to move into our net. If you are playing along at home and you have a radio, I think 2118 may be your spot, but we'll keep an eye on that as well. And thank you for the work you did, Paul, with my friend Ian, Kilo India 9 Whiskey, passing back in February. I appreciate the kind words and the story you put together for that.
No, you're welcome.
With Newsline. All right, so we're just kind of, this is the moment we recognize that you may be listening to this on your commute, as Paul does sometimes on the train, or he used to. I'm sure it arrives
Still
in
do.
the phone. There you go. And Pastor Joe does his listening on the treadmill, but we usually try to keep it to about an hour. But tonight, it's been a while. We're having a good time. We're just talking through. So you can subscribe wherever you get podcasts and listen back and watch back on YouTube. And if everybody's cool to hang, you're welcome to stay. We'll keep an ear out. Let me see what I have going on in terms of the net. If you're listening to this after the fact. Okay.
I just went on archive.org and did a quick search of the rain report, and there is tons of the rain report
Good
audio on there.
Awesome.
Just
Good.
put in the rain report, and there's page after page of his show.
awesome.
Good deal. Let me try to...
Dating
That's
back
not
to
a lot.
2005.
Don't freak out, Paul. I'm just going to move something over real quick. There you go. Okay.
There.
Can you tell us your next story? What do you have cooking over there? These are the top stories so far of 2025 in ham radio. Paul Braun joins us.
Back in February, as part of the ongoing struggles in Ukraine, Rig Expert, who's based out of Ukraine, had announced that their headquarters office had been hit by a missile. Fortunately, everybody was okay. It didn't affect the manufacturer and support, but they said, we got some things to work through here. But let's see what the official thing said. Even though this is a difficult situation, the Rig Expert team is committed to restoring operations as soon as possible to continue providing our great products to you. So, this was the admin office in Ukraine and not the manufacturing site. And they're a good company, and
All right,
they
I got
were
a kilowatt with a 0, but I missed the rest. You want to try it again, please?
Oh,
Damn, Don. He's that neighbor.
Settle
that's
down there,
just
Mitch.
Like, Jesus Christ. Again with the 40 meters.
They had a booth. They had a booth at Hamvention. Did you stop by
Yes,
and
they
see
did.
that, Steve? I stopped by.
Yes.
and-
No, I had a picture
Yeah.
of. So I have the Spokane Fire Department had a T-shirt made that had the blue and yellow, and it had you had Ukrainian writing on it, and I had no idea what it said. So
You were hoping it was good.
Basically, it said Spokane Fire Department in Ukrainian. So
There you go.
the girls there at the booth. I showed them a picture of the shirt, and they were like taken back a little bit, and they were like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, it was the fire chief of Spokane Fire gave me a couple of those shirts, and So I just wanted to know what it said on it, and that's what it is. It just says Spokane Fire Department in Ukrainian. So
and I stopped to thank them because I just bought one of the A55 or whatever rig. I finally bit the bullet and bought one, and I wanted to thank them for what they're doing and for a great product, and also we understand what you're going through. So yeah, it was really nice to see them. So yeah, that was kind of scary.
It was a cool family there. Yeah, it was really nice to meet them and talk about their products. Don was interested in one of their other antenna analyzers, and they're doing some fantastic work, and they got some great test equipment there, and it's reasonable. It just depends on what you want to do, and they got it.
Definitely. All right, want me to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, the next one. Germany now has a ham as the chancellor, where Friedrich Merz was elected as the new chancellor, replacing Olaf Scholz, and he is a ham.
Well, that's cool.
We have another high-profile amateur radio operator.
Oh, that'll be fun. Do we know his call sign? We probably don't.
You know what? No, let's go look that up here.
Look that up. If you have a question, put a Q in front of it, and we will try to pull it and answer it for you. We will pull it and answer.
German. While you're looking that up, do you have on your list of OptiBeam and their latest announcement there, Paul?
No.
They're pulling out of the amateur market too, or they got sold to another German antenna company. I got wind of this the other day. That OptiBeam is no longer, and they were bought out by some other German antenna company.
Scotty, what do you feel about all these companies pulling out? What? What'd I say?
They don't want to procreate.
No, it's I don't own an OptiBeam or a stepper antenna, but ever since I've been in ham radio, I've seen ads for these companies and the amazing antennas that they make. It's like, oh, one day I'll have one. One day and then they're going away.
Merz is DK7 Delta Queen or Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen. DK. Well, he has a good number in his call. He has a 7, so we're good.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Let's. We gotta say Paul's extended visit has to be sponsored. He's got a big fee, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
Look at his face. Just look at his face. Just like what's happening right now.
10% of it goes to Wilbanks too. So.
Oh. Okay.
So he's going to get a piece of the Xenia Hope.
Oh. Support brought to you by
a piece of Wildcat. What?
XeniaHose.com.
Somebody salty nuts still sponsored.
Yeah, you can't talk about sexy nuts without.
Uncle Paul was he was in here tonight. He was hanging out.
Uncle Paul,
salty nuts.
Uncle Paul,
salty nuts.
He tried a lot of different avenues with his nuts, but he settled in on the salty nuts. He did pickles. They did okay in parts of Thailand, but he didn't want to mess around in the markets anymore. He said salty nuts. That's what Americans like. Takes the nut, dip it in the salt.
The Cajun nuts didn't go well in New Jersey, so it just kind of went down to the salty nuts. He tried the Old Bay nuts. Only the guys from Maryland they were into the Old Bay nuts, but
Bay nuts.
Folks in Jersey and New York, they're just not so much in the Old Bay nuts.
I cut a promo for that.
Nuts.
Old Bay nuts. Dip your nuts in Old Bay. Well, you brought it up, Paul. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I just wanted to mention that this year I actually met, I've met Steve before. It's not a big deal. I actually met Scotty in person this year. They were wandering the flea market, and we walked up and down for a while. So that was nice.
Yeah, that was great. It was me and Steve were at some vendor, and then Paul walks up and I forget exactly what he said, but I said, I know that voice, and then I turned around and there he was, and we spent a good part of one of the days wandering about
fun.
the flea market. It was a great time.
I've got a text from Scotty that says, just ran into Paul Braun, and then he said, this is what he said.
Dynamite!
So I think that's some kind of code.
Well, I can
Paul.
understand. I mean, I've met me, and it's pretty cool. So
There you go.
Paul Braun of the Browns Motel.
You should take that over. I mean, they haven't. Money fell through, but the Browns has been a longtime supporter, not of monetized here on the show, but they've serviced the show.
yeah.
It's
Xenia
leveled. I drove past it today. It's leveled. It's gone. It's making way for
it's like Terra Arena.
Senior condominium building is what's going there now.
Did they take away my outdoor sandwich board that had me doing this? I just try to keep it all in there. Good evening, if you're just joining us. Yeah. Oh, he wants to keep going. Here we go.
Moving on.
I didn't want to. You started it.
Yeah, well, trying to get us back on the rails.
Okay, got it.
Why?
The IARU has announced they have plans to eliminate the regions and just combine everything into one big organization. And there's been a lot of discussion as to whether or not that's good, because different rules and different things for different regions, and you have more access to your person. So it's
why?
They're looking at it as potential. They say they've released guidance on potential restructuring to help the organization meet modern challenges. I don't know. So, I mean, the IARU admin headquarters is based in the United States. So, and it's currently based at the League's campus here in Connecticut. So, I don't know, but their goal is to combine everything into one single global IARU instead of Region 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know. There's a lot of discussion whether or not this is going to happen, whether it's good for ham radio or not. But I don't know. Any changes that are going to, if they get approved, aren't going to happen until next year anyway. But there's still a lot of discussion going. The thing is, your only way, if you have an opinion on this, your only way to express your opinion to them is through your organization. So, like if you're in England, it's with what's the GB, their version of the ARRL, and that's ours because it's those organizations that are members of the IARU. You know what? It's late. The IARU. Individual people cannot belong to it. So you can't join the IARU. You belong to the League. The League belongs to it. So if you have an opinion on this and why or why not you think it's good or not, you need to talk to your local organization, like the League or whatever, and let them pass that along. So,
well, thank you for that update on OU812.
Mm-hmm.
What a great record.
It was a good one.
Can you name that artist? You probably know Paul. Paul's a classic rock guy.
Yes, I can.
All right. Let him know. Go ahead.
That would be Van Halen.
Damn right. Any thoughts on all that? Go ahead, Paul.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say if
does anybody have any thoughts?
Anybody have any thoughts on that? Sure.
I'd have to do some reading up on it. I'm not quite sure what the pros or cons would be with the global sort of a global entity for that.
I don't like the idea that folks say in Region 2. Let's see, where U.S. is what, Region 3?
Yeah, I think.
So folks in Region 2.
Looking at the map. I thought we were reading.
Is they
Does
have
anybody
to go,
really know what time it is?
What it is? But it's they're losing their local voice, and it's unless it's broken, why fix it? Unless to me, this is starting to sound like a power play that they want to consolidate, and then being that they're based, and I'll go really conspiratorial here. Is that being that they're based over at the league, does the league want to sit there and take over and become a worldwide body?
I've heard a lot of discussion both ways on it, so I really don't know at this point. So it's but it's a thing that we have little say in, but so most likely what will happen will happen. Okay.
Is that it?
The next one is that the once again there's a bill that's being presented to Congress, the Amateur Radio Emergency Preparedness Act. That's essentially the HOA antenna thing that is being presented again every year. They bring it up, and then it usually gets ignored or something, and then it so they're trying again. I really wish they would just be done with it and pass it. Now, I mean, there's some HOAs just absolutely refuse to work with you. Some, if you present and you explain and work with them. In my case, I live in a block of condos. I ended up at some point years back getting dragged onto the board. And I used that because I've been president now for, I don't know, a decade because nobody else wants to do it. But I've used that position to educate the board on what ham radio is and what it does and what it's not. And that's how I've been able to put up in my little courtyard between my condo and my garage. I've got that Hustler vertical, 4-band vertical, and I've got the dual band antenna for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. And, nobody has complained because I'm not interfering with anybody, and they understand that. And I don't have something as eye-catching as like a hex beam, which, I mean, they may be awesome antennas, but honestly, they look like clotheslines. So,
umbrella.
But
not the most attractive
an umbrella. Yeah. So, I mean, that's one thing you can do too, is try to until this actually happens, if it ever does, get involved with the board and explain what it is we do, and you can work towards getting permission to put up. I'm not saying that your condo association is going to let you put up a tower, but you can maybe put up a simple wire or something. The secret is, because I mean, I mentioned once that I was president of the HOA on some forum, and I just got slammed by everybody who's saying, how bad HOAs are and how I'm evil and how I'm using some sort of power and privilege that nobody else gets, and you suck and this. I'm like,
oh man.
I walked away from that forum because it's like, you're not listening to me.
Right.
I'm able to do what I'm able to do because I've paved the way for other hams who might move into our block to be able to do the same thing. And I've demystified what it is we do. And I've explained to them that me putting up this little vertical in my courtyard is not going to destroy the neighborhood. It's not going to interfere with your TV because pretty much everybody's either streaming or on satellite anyway.
Or cable. And
yeah. So, amateur radio's a good thing. So, that's what you need to do. So, I mean, it helps. It's going to help to have eventually, maybe not, a law that says you can't deny somebody the ability to put up an antenna. But in the meantime, work with the board. You may have a board that's receptive to what you're doing, and explain to them, show them. That's what I did.
You had great success too, because you used to have the neighbor who had the Christmas lights. What was it, a snowman or perhaps something like that?
Yeah, Spark Gap Skellington. The guy across the street, had one of those giant, like 13 or 14 foot high Jack Skellington balloons in his yard. He would start decorating for Halloween sometime in September, and he would leave those up through the end of the year. And one night I'm listening, and I got broadband, a repetitive pattern, so I knew it was not just random static, but it was broadband. It was like from 160 up to 10. Ooh. And I couldn't figure out what the hell. So I took my phone and I took a video of the radio so I could hear it and see the frequency and all that. And then I like, somebody's got to be able to figure this out. So later, I got in my car that night. I had to go somewhere, and as I'm sitting in my driveway, I look in my mirror, and I see this giant Jack Skellington balloon that's flashing in a pattern that sounds vaguely familiar. And I wait a minute. And I pulled up my phone and I hit play on the video in time with the balloon, and I realized that it's the electronics inside that balloon that's making the LEDs flash, that's putting out broadband noise, and that's for months on end. And I went and I asked,
Skellington.
Can I put toroids on the power cord? That didn't help. He didn't care that he was wiping out radio for the whole block. The power, it wasn't coming from the power cord. It's the cheap electronics inside that was flashing the LEDs, and 17 feet of wire going up to the LEDs that was a vertical that was broadcasting broadband RF. Wow. Finally, 3 years later, he moved, and I haven't had any problems. But I gave up RF. I gave up HF at night for like 2 months because he wouldn't shut that damn thing off, and it was just wiping out everything.
Damn it.
Yeah.
No
I think I may have pushed a button
Not my
there.
problem.
Sorry to bring up all those times, but I'm glad you're on the. You're like the president of the board of the HOA. I brought that up. You can tell how emotional he got there.
And the thing is, this wasn't on our side. It's on the other side of our block, which is all townhomes and stuff. So that wasn't part of our organization. So I had nothing I could do about that guy aside from maybe one night accidentally poking a pin in it.
Yeah, I think we talked about working that out.
Yeah.
That friends in Chicago.
It worked. It's
Spark
worked
Gap
its way out.
Skellington.
I mean,
yes, Spark Gap Skellington. We referred to him.
So did we get all of those stories? That's a lot of stories going on. What's left? Anything? We still have some time in the year.
We're done. Well, I mean, we got one other quick one here.
Yeah.
The FCC has announced they are going to be tightening up the requirements for equipment made outside the U.S. and shipping in. So it's primarily aimed at China, I believe. Now, I know that like Baofeng has started importing some that are type compliant, and even at that, they're going to be tightening up the testing to make sure for spectral purity and stuff for things coming into the country. So, but right now with the tariffs on, tariffs off, tariffs on, tariffs off thing, I don't know if it's a whole mess of things whether or not they're even going to import them right now. So, but they're going to be working on that. So, but I mean,
sweet mother
and this is
what is the holdup?
I mean,
I was just gonna show my my new Baofeng AR5RM, and as I was picking it up, I keyed up. I don't know if you guys heard.
Yeah,
that.
I heard that. I'm like, what the hell? I hit
10 watts coming off of this right next to my microphone.
I hit a little drop, and I heard brrr. I'm like, oh, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
that was.
What was that?
That's another thing. I mean, there's plenty of these inexpensive radios that are clean and are compliant, and that, you get a lot of crap from guys who are like, well, unless you spend $500 on a Kenwood or a Yaesu, that's crap. And
where did we hear this story before?
This
Where have
falls,
we heard this?
This falls into that same argument we had with MFJ.
Exactly.
Now, my VE team, we have bought a stash of like 3 or 4 of the new compliant Baofangs, and we program them with a code plug for our area. And any of the youth, like 20 years or younger, passes an exam during our session, we give them free radio. It gets them started. Yeah. I mean, I've got a $500 THD 74. Yes. I'm not necessarily comfortable carrying that everywhere. So if I'm going somewhere where it's a little sketchy, I got this little, I got a variety. I have an addiction, but like this one, little TID Radio TDH3, it's like $35. If I drop and break or lose a $35 radio, I am not going to cry.
Well,
and for young kids or youth or somebody just starting who's hesitant about dropping $400 on a radio, $30 gets you into the game and lets you get some experience.
Let the record show that our brother Scotty, KC3BXN, his life was saved by one of those $25 radios. That was indeed a Bullfang radio. Saved this man's life in a flood. So
2016 flood on Main Street in Ellicott City, the big flood.
You can say whatever you want to say, but he figured it out, and it worked when it needed to.
Got us evacuated from our building that was on the brink of collapse.
And I've been talking to a number of people like Thomas K4SWL, who out in South Carolina, they got hit with that storm that destroyed a lot of stuff. And he's been working on getting radios now set up for the community, and like if you want to do GMRS, like this new little, the TID radio TDH3, you can get one that's GMRS compliant, and for like $35 or whatever, you can get a decent GMRS radio for your neighborhood emergency group, and you can all be legal. Everybody
analyze so there's no confusion on trying to find a frequency or program or any of that stuff.
GMRS licenses are cheap now. I mean, they used to be like $85, but now they're cheap, and you can get a radio for $40, and everybody can be safe, and you don't have to play that. Well, I know ham radio requires a license, but if things go bad, I can just grab that radio and talk. No, not really. So this is a way to do it legally for inexpensive money. I mean, there's a
microphone.
There's a point.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's how
I'm
feel?
a big advocate for that sort of thing. I did something similar in my community with floods with some UV5Rs that I programmed in Chirp on a couple of GMRS frequencies so that they could be compatible with the people in town that did have, little bubble pack radios. And then I set up the VHF bands as a scanner. So we had our local fire still broadcasts the dispatch on analog.
Okay.
Right outside of town. So I have that set up. I had a Skywarn net set up with the transmit deactivated for them so that they couldn't interfere. And a few other things, local 2-meter repeater. And then we used those radios quite a few times. It was the situation that we had in 2016 where a few guys and a few of the folks in town had these radios that I had set up for them, and one of our friends, my friend Eddie, he's not a ham, but he wanted a radio. He lives outside of the flood area, and when the flooding happened, the town was without communications. The local the cell phone reception down here in the River Valley, just in Ellicott City, it sucks to begin with. And we had a small cell phone repeater on top of the old grain mill, and that got completely overwhelmed and swamped within minutes of the flooding happening. And so nobody was able to get a hold of anyone through the cell phone. And it was so crazy. The town was either emptied out. The first responders couldn't get in. Multiple buildings were damaged. Some were destroyed. Some were on the brink of falling down, like the one that my girlfriend and I were in. And I was able to get a hold of him. He was trying to get down into town just to see if he could help, and I was able to get a hold of him and tell us what our situation was. He relayed that information to the chief of the incident. the emergency responder, the special ops fire department team that were on the scene got that message to him, and he got a team together, got us up the street, and chopped us out. We had to chop a hole in the wall from the house next door, and they chopped a hole in our bedroom wall. We had to climb out of the wall, across the small gap between the two buildings, into the building next door, and then out to the rooftop, and then take the rooftop all the way to the end of the row of buildings. These are all antique buildings in Old Ellicott City. To the last building where there was a way to get down through the back porch and onto street level that hadn't been washed out by the flood, and that's how we got out of there. But it was the UV5R. They got the message to my friend Eddie, who got the message to the guy leading the charge with the special ops fire department team, and got us out of there, because nobody knew we were there, and it was a really precarious situation. The house, the whole foundation was gone. We were just, the whole second floor of the house was just, and everything above it was just resting on the first floor joists with the whole foundation completely gone. it was crazy. But the Bayo Fang to the rescue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's glad you made that out. That's rough.
So yeah, I'm a big advocate for community sort of radio communications of whatever kind.
Absolutely.
Let's ask the guys on 80 meters. Is that right, fellas?
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
There you go. Confirmation from our good friends on 75-meter phone.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Paul. It's been a joy to be with you. 90 minutes. You caught me up. I got some things I need to go and read about. That's for sure. Well, thank you for your time tonight.
Glad I could help.
All right. Anything you want to say, or
that's great.
Any grievances, Steve-O? This is your chance.
No grievances. It's been a wonderful 90 minutes. It's good to have Paul here.
We usually give our
this has been fun.
Usually give our guests a gift bag or something like that. I don't know if you'll want the gift bag from xeniahose.com. xeniahose.com, specializing the best of hamvention. Stop on in and look for the deals on the glory hole.
Xenia Hose will give you the clap.
Xenia Hose and glory hole. I'm looking for a marketing hook there, but thank you so much, Paul. I'm glad you brought your friends too.
Man. I'm and I'd just like to point this out because I can that I'm holding number 141. So
oh my,
I've been around for a while.
You have. You're a good old friend. A good old friend.
Indeed. Yeah, Paul. It's great. It was great seeing you and Xenia, and
yeah, it was nice to meet you in person. That was fun. Yeah,
and great having you on the show with us tonight. It's great.
We'll get some stories about that next week, don't you think? We'll get those stories.
Oh yeah, the days in the field, in the flea market area.
Oh, I missed that, man. That's my favorite part. I would love it. I would love to go down there with you guys. It's great. Hopefully next time.
As I pointed out in the Discord group, and if anyone that are watching, listening, if you're not part of the Discord group, drop into the Discord group. It's similar
I'm
stuff
dropping
that goes
a link
on
now.
here.
Drop it like
Drop
it's
a link
hot.
in the chat. There we go.
Drop it like it's hot,
And but if you get a chance, you got to go to Hamvention once in your lifetime. It's a spectacle, but remember, it's our spectacle. And but it's a great time to spend 2 or 3 days, however long you can, and just be part of the hobby here. It's all it's just nothing but ham radio. And like you see tonight, Paul and Scotty got a chance to meet face to face first time. And just develop this great friendship. And if you get a chance, come, please come and down. Xenia Fairgrounds is awesome. It's if you get to see all the manufacturers, and then you just get to go to the flea market, which is just a show amongst the shows. And but it's a good time. So I recommend anybody and everybody to once make the trip to Hamvention.
If you're going to go, I'd really try to plan for 2 days, because it is so much I mean, just walking the flea market itself is kind of a day. And if you want to see all of the vendor booths, I mean, there's 5 buildings. I mean, there's the 3 big ones that have the bigger vendors, and then there's 2 or 3 others that have the smaller, more personal vendors. And I mean, if you just want to see all that, I mean, you're going to get overwhelmed if you try to do it in one day. You really need to do 2 days.
Look, Scotty, what was it like last year? Your first time?
Oh yeah, last when I first, I was completely overwhelmed. It was, I was so excited, and I couldn't believe just the scale of it all. And it's like, it's all amateur radio. Like, this is amazing. And then, seeing people walk around that I've watched their YouTube videos and stuff. I was like, oh, this is all ham radio stuff. This is great. And there's like just thousands of people, and they're all different sorts of characters. And you got the guys with the 15 HTs on their vests walking around, and it's just it's fun. It's fun to people watch. It's fun to just meet all sorts of incredible people, and then to see all the new stuff coming out, all the great stuff out in the flea market. So yeah, it's a good time. Go Kevin, go.
Over the years,
it's a gathering of the tribe.
Yep,
definitely.
And I can't remember her name or call, but she always had the tower on her head.
Oh,
and when she was a teenager, and now she's a mom, and she's bringing her kids and her husband. They're I've seen them the last couple of years at Amvention the family. So I mean, it's just.
I'm glad she settled down and having a new generation of little hams running around.
She's going to pass the tower
baby
down.
ham.
That's great. We'll talk about the sponsor later after this conversation rolls downstream a little bit further. But thank you to our sponsors. All right. Thank you to Greg and everybody who stopped by. Thank you to my brothers, all of which you see in front of you. I appreciate you all very much. Shall we run it back again? This is too much fun. I almost don't want to go, but Paul is giving me that look. The kids call it the
Paul hasn't had dinner yet.
Paul's bladder is probably exploding.
Which of you got to piss
man.
the worst?
I gotta go pee.
We all got to piss now. So the show over. You can tell as we age together. The show's like
old guys. Yeah,
I can honestly say that I do indeed have to piss pretty bad.
I can second that emotion. Our shows will start getting 12 minutes long as we age. It'll be like, that's about it for today, guys.
Catheters take care of that.
Yeah.
Or
right.
depends.
Or get a conductor's helper, and I'll be good to go.
Depends, and then when you just get that, we know what Scotty's doing.
An old Mountain Dew bottle. That's what I'll... What are you doing?
Oh,
got one of those chairs that rock and sway. Don't forget to squeeze it. Okay. The little pinch at the top for me, for good measure. All right. Dear. You guys take care, and we'll catch you again next week. This was a lot of fun. Take care, and by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. 7-3, guys.
7-3, everyone.
All right.